Good morning. This is Katie Huff with Setting Yourself Free. We are here to encourage you to be, do, and have all that God has created you to be. And we are excited to share with you a great topic that is pretty common across the board, men and women, and it's all about hormones. And I have the great pleasure of having Dr. Troy Spurrill with me from Synapse Center, Healing and Health. I love that place. It's helping me get myself healthy. And I'm so grateful for him and his team. And I would encourage you to go to officialsnaps.com and click on that discovery button so you too can have that free discovery call and find out what can make your life more healthy and healed if that is the case. So Dr. Troy, thank you so much for always being here. It's such a pleasure. And obviously, you know that this subject is near and dear to my life because, of course, I'm not 20 anymore. And how things change with hormones. And God knows there's a lot of us out there that need help. So thank you for answering the call.
Yes, absolutely. It's actually a big topic. So we'll touch on some of the highlights for sure and get to some of the things that we see clinically as far as symptoms that people might have when they have hormone deficits or imbalances.
Well, I'll be the walking, talking example. So here I am in my business, and I have been doing this business, Legal Shield, for 26 years. And I know the rules of what we need to do when we go into an employer and offer the benefits. Well, I forgot a very important step, one that has been there since the day I started. And I had to call my supervisor, or my gal that's my vice president. I said, I can't believe we're doing this. She goes, Katie, I'm worried about you. She says, you're forgetting that this is something that we've done for ever since we started. And I went, oh my gosh. So the walking, talking example of brain fog,
Yes.
memory, here I am. So take it away.
So yeah, that is actually one of the main things that hormones do is they actually keep and protect our brain. So it's called atrophic change, but atrophic change means that there's actually things that can happen with our memory where we start to see the change in the hormones, and especially the decline in the hormones can affect the health of our brain cells. It's one of the main categories of Alzheimer's, actually, in Dr. Dale Bredesen's book, The End of Alzheimer's. So he has 6 different categories where he talks about the different causes of Alzheimer's, and atrophic change or hormones can be a big part of that.
Well, I have
So
no doubt.
yeah, and people feel that when they start have memory issues and things like that. Insulin imbalances stuff can too. So, and insulin is a hormone. Vitamin D is a hormone. A lot of people forget that. Our hormones we're going to talk about today are more, we're going to focus more on what's called the sex hormones. That's the progesterone, the estrogen, the testosterone, DHEA, pregnenolone. Last time we were together, we spoke a little bit about cholesterol and how it leads and makes and is the precursor to all of our hormones. So what I want to do is talk just a little bit about how hormones can affect all kinds of different things. So hormones can affect memory. We just talked about that.
Yeah.
Hormones can affect your overall energy, mental energy, and body energy. Hormones can affect inflammation and manage inflammation and pain. Hormones can impact your willingness and sex drive, basically, and function. Hormones can affect weight. So we start to see when there's imbalance in hormones, we can see problems with any one of those. So now take a step back and just think about what we just said. It can affect your weight, your inflammatory pain areas, your inflammation, like we said, your memory, and your overall energy and sex drive. So and overall youthfulness, really. So it helps us with our youthfulness. So that is the majority of people that are dealing with some level of health concern. So my point is hormones usually enter in with everyone, 90 to maybe even 95% of the people that we see. At some point, we have to address a hormone. It might be thyroid, it might be insulin. A lot of times it is progesterone, estrogen, testosterone, cortisol, as well as the DHEA to reestablish things.
Well,
The
and
one
it's,
I forgot is actually stress management.
oh yeah, well, there's
Yeah.
no stress in our world today. Joke.
Nope.
It's like, oh my gosh, I'm glad I have a lot of hair because
Yes.
stressing out. Yeah, I want to pull my hair out sometimes, and it's like,
Well,
okay.
that's what I used to have a lot more, but that's,
Well, look at you, you walking, talking example of stress
yep.
management.
Yes.
Well, I'm a walking, talking example of the memory, brain fog, and obviously the sex drive is definitely down from obviously 20s, 30s, and 40s. And now that I've
Oh,
turned
yeah.
60, it is crazy, crazy.
So I want to kind of go through just a few of the things, because one of the things that I want people to know is that there's a hormone called DHEA that's really important for the adrenal gland. It helps you even with the kidney function. It helps with your overall recovery of the muscles and the pain scenario. So we just like an athlete, when they injure themselves, sometimes the professional athletes will go in and get a cortisone shot
Mm,
because that takes away the actual pain. A lot of people don't realize that if you have stress, you make more cortisol, but that cortisol gets converted to cortisone. It's the same component. It's inactive versus active, but it's the same component. It's very similar to the cortisone that they inject for anti-inflammatory. So there are some conditions that help create an inability to convert that cortisol to cortisone. If you're
mm,
gaining weight, you have to shift the cortisol to cortisone. Otherwise, you're going to be becoming inflamed. So things like insulin resistance will keep you in that cortisol state versus cortisone state. You actually want to be in a cortisone state. That's where we actually get some of the anti-inflammatory mechanisms. If your thyroid is low functioning, it's going to cause more cortisol, less cortisone, inflammation. If you're obese, more cortisol, less cortisone.
mm.
One other thing, some people we actually have to, they're so defeated and deflated, they don't have cortisol or cortisone. That's due to long-term stress. These people actually do really well with licorice root. It's an herbal that or black licorice. If you crave black licorice, that is generally a sign that your adrenal glands are completely tanked, and that you need more cortisol and cortisone.
Wow. Because it's interesting because my husband and I like black licorice.
Yeah. Well, that is a sign that the adrenal glands need stimulation. Now, it doesn't it you can like it, but if you feel like you need it, that's when the adrenal glands are tanked and your cortisol levels are tanked. You can actually get your cortisol levels measured,
Hmm.
because they used to have a saying back in the day called adrenal fatigue. And
Right.
doctors really, really hated that saying. And they would tell patients, you don't have adrenal fatigue. The reason is, in medical literature and in medicine, if your adrenals really did fatigue, you'd die in about 5 minutes.
Wow.
So the new term, which is much better, is HPA axis dysfunction, which doesn't sound better, but what that is hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis dysfunction. What that means is there's just a breakdown in communication from the brain to the adrenal glands, so you're not releasing as much of that hormone. It's
Hmm.
still dysfunction. So the doctors that were they were just being nitpicky about terminology, but in the grand scheme of things, it is better that we have the new term, if you will.
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting because, as we've discussed, sugar is probably the worst thing that we could put in our body. Um,
Yes.
and, then you have this craving for licorice and you go to the black licorice, which obviously has sugar in it. Um, but I mean, that's probably where we go when we want something sweet
Yep.
is to the black licorice
Yep.
because it's easy and it's, and it's digestible pretty fast and it gets into your system pretty quick.
Yep.
So, wow. Okay. So HPA access.
Dysfunction. That's right. And
Wow.
so I want to go through, I went through kind of a list of the different things that can cause increased cortisol.
Yeah.
And I want to go through the things that can increase the metabolism of cortisol to cortisone.
Okay, that's
And
great.
so this means that you actually you won't be getting the tummy, the fat around the tummy. You'll actually have a little more pain relief. So one of my favorites is EGCG. That's the active ingredient from green tea. So
Oh,
green tea and or EGCG is very good at shifting your cortisol to cortisone. Another one of my favorites is curcumin. So
okay.
curcumin is the active ingredient from turmeric and the anti-inflammatories. Curcumin is amazing for that conversion of cortisol to cortisone. It's actually my favorite. It's the one that I do the best with. Now, here's one that people are going to like, and you can get on board with. Coffee actually will help convert cortisol to cortisone for most people, not everyone, for most.
Wow,
Yep.
interesting. And so it doesn't matter if it's caffeinated or decaffeinated?
No, it's actually the coffee, not the caffeine. Too much
Okay.
caffeine stimulates cortisol, so it's actually you don't want it too caffeinated, but you want the natural coffee,
Neat.
as clean a coffee as possible. Most people go to that one right away, and it's my least favorite of that. The only time I do that is when someone is fatigued and inflamed. If
Okay.
you have good energy and you're inflamed, then you need the curcumin or the green tea. Another one that's good for women is actually progesterone. So
Mm,
progesterone helps with that conversion of the cortisol to cortisone. So that's why some women, when they start to get really low, their muscles are more achy. And that's why a lot of women do better on certain types of hormone replacement. But progesterone itself, even wild yam and some of the natural things that you can put on or in your body are good to help with the cortisol to cortisone.
so with the progesterone, there's all kinds of options as well, right? Because there's creams and isn't there also pills?
Yep, there's pills, there's creams, there's bioidentical
Mhm.
progesterone. Our physician's assistant we have on board here will work with women from with all kinds of conditions, and so certain women shouldn't do hormones, and some women it's like a game changer.
Yeah, because I mean, there's always, I mean, it's interesting because again in that situation where I'm like, okay, I need to investigate and possibly be looking at some different options in regards to that. And I had a woman even yesterday saying, "You don't want to do hormone replacement, do you?" And I said, "Yeah, I do. The right one type, of course." But there's all kinds of, I think, fallacies out there.
Yeah,
Obviously, a lot of women are thinking it leads to breast cancer or cancers by being on hormone replacement. I know back in the day, I used to, even as a pharmaceutical rep, that was one of the medications that I represented was a hormone replacement therapy, which is
yeah,
interesting. But I mean, there's a lot of confusion, is what I would say.
yeah.
I'm
And
sure
there
you.
was I used to be
Yeah.
against the hormone replacement, but uh mostly because of this. Let me kind of walk people through this. When a woman goes through menopause, her ovaries stop producing the hormones, the estrogens and progesterones, but
Mhm.
you can't go completely without those hormones. So the adrenal glands takes over that function, but it's not very good at it. So it stresses the adrenal glands out. The adrenal glands, remember, help release the hormones that deal with stress. Adrenaline, noradrenaline, cortisol. And so if you've had significant amounts of stress, which by the time women get to menopause, there's usually something that's happened. When it comes to some level of stress, and that includes digestive distress. So inflammation in the gut, insulin imbalances will affect your cortisol. Thyroid affects the cortisol, like we already said. So a lot of women are entering into menopause already a little dampened in what their adrenal glands can do. And then all of a sudden you're asking it to do a little bit more work and make this hormone. If it's not able to make the hormone, then we have to either use something naturally to stimulate the adrenal glands to make it. And I'll say this, the number one thing that'll deplete the adrenal glands faster than anything is a sleep disorder, where you're not sleeping restfully through the night. And worrying. That's a big part of it too.
And here's my question. What comes first, the chicken or the egg?
Both.
Right?
It's simultaneously.
It's
They
like sleep
happen at the
disorder.
same time.
Yeah. I mean, you have no hormones, you don't sleep. Now you have a sleep disorder. So
Yep,
it's like this cycle.
it does. So that's why I like to use hormone replacement now. And the research, when I dug into it more, I found out the research was actually bad research. But because here's the thing, the research that they found that triggered a lot of the cancers was actually true, but they were using non-human estrogens. They were using estrogens that came from in the early research from was it horse urine or horse
Mhm.
estrogens?
Yes.
So basically, the
It's urine.
percentages of estradiol and estrone, it was all different. So, and then they tried to make something that was similar. So when I say bioidentical, when you look at bioidentical, it means the estrogens that are innately within us, if we can stick to that, we actually see good results. We actually see amazing changes. And here's the other part. Part of it is I still want people to work on the root cause stressors that are setting off the adrenal glands. The problem is it's so much for women these days because a lot of it is environmental. There are environmental triggers, estrogen mimickers, things that completely disrupt your ability to use these hormones properly. They can throw off your estrogen levels, and in men, they can throw off the testosterone levels. So we're exposed to all of these man-made chemicals that actually really disrupt our hormones. They're called endocrine disruptors.
Mm.
And so now you almost need something to help clean that up and balance it while you go after the root cause stuff. So we've got work to do there. So I have found that the hormones are a game changer with how people feel,
Mm.
and basically it allows you to kind of get your stability back, your memory back, your how you feel for most, not all, and then you work on the more root cause issues of, okay, let's just see why were my adrenals so taxed and tanked, and so the lower the dose, the hormone that can bring you back to balance, the better. But yeah, like I said too, some of these other there are so many other things that can help drive good hormones. And increase your estrogens. DHEA um, it is something that can be used. And funny enough, a lot of the herbals that actually help improve your hormones are herbals that help your brain manage stress. So that's interesting.
Yeah. And what are those to do?
Like St. John's wort. St.
Okay.
John's wort, which if you're taking certain medications, St. John's wort interacts with a lot of medications, so just be aware of that. I'm going to put that out there. But St.
Mhm.
John's wort will increase your DHEA quite a bit, and even certain like bile acids, any herbal that increases your bile acids will also help. So by improving your digestion and your brain seems to really increase the DHES. Licorice root and antifungal herbals also increase DHEA.
So what about this? You said the biological is that what you said?
The
St. John's wort and or something.
and bile acids.
Yeah, what is that?
Oh, bile acids are acids that our bile system, our gallbladder, and our liver system
Okay,
will release to help break down fats. And
okay.
so when we consume fats in our diet, we can then use them for energy. Our population has become very poor at breaking down fats and using fat for energy.
Wow,
And it used to be a major player. How many people do you know of or have you heard of that have had gallbladder surgery?
a ton.
Yeah, it's the number one surgery in the state of Minnesota.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as when I was practicing nursing, I mean, there was gallbladders being taken out night all day long.
Yeah, all day long, daily. And
Yeah.
so think about that for a second. Why is that particular organ having so much trouble? Because our bile acids are out of balance. And so if your bile acids are out of balance, then you just have a little bit of stress in your life, and all of a sudden you start losing some of your hormones. Bile acids help you metabolize and break down fats. We need fat soluble vitamins. Vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K are all fat soluble. So vitamin A, eyes and lungs. You have problems if you're having trouble with your bile acid. Vitamin D is your main immune hormone and vitamin. Vitamin E and vitamin K are both crucial for your vascular system, clotting system, and vitamin K is also needed for vitamin D to help get calcium into your bones for osteoporosis. So we need these fat soluble vitamins. When people come in and they've had their gallbladder out, they always have a problem with one or all of those fat soluble vitamins. They can't absorb them properly. I just had a patient who came in, and we had to give her vitamin D injections. We put
Wow.
her on high dose vitamin D, and her vitamin D dropped in 1 month.
Wow.
Yeah, I told her, I said, I have never seen that reaction. I've had people like go up just a little bit, but never drop after actually actively putting it in her body. So that basically means she was so deficient, it was like a sponge soaking up all of the vitamin D, and then there was still not enough in her blood. It actually dropped it out of her blood, which means we have to give her even more. And it's one of the most, if not the most, compromised bile acid condition I've ever seen. And she is in her mid-20s, already lost her gallbladder.
Wow. That's tragic.
Yep.
Wow. So now what for her?
Well, we are going to be helping her with hormones. She's already improved, but we now know that we have to triple up what we're doing with our fat soluble vitamins.
Mm.
And we found a condition. So we had to look and say, what's causing the inflammation? Well, it turns out she was extremely reactive to mold, and so mold was triggering some things. So we got her environment cleaned up. And now we're working on the sleep and working on
Mm.
hormones, because she fasted, the same person fasted for 3 days and gained 3 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, how would you like that one?
Here's your sign.
Yeah,
Something's not right.
something's not right. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, well,
So
and fasting is not is a good thing to do occasionally,
yeah,
to give your body a rest. And obviously even from the spiritual component of it as well. It's a wonderful thing to do, but that's
yep.
a bummer to do a fast and then gain weight.
Well, yeah, so I'm going to flip that a little bit too, because with her, because she was bummed out, and I said, no, this is really good. That is that is definitive evidence of
Mhm.
hormone dysfunction. I mean, think about it, because it's not calories, so she's not detoxifying, and there's definitely hormone stuff. So the only way you can gain weight by not eating is if you're taking in the oxygen and it's actually being converted into like water weight inside your body, because there's no calories to actually store. So it
Right.
has to be your breath. That's it. So it's oxygen that's being converted into water, and you're just retaining water. So we measure the water inside and outside the body, and your body, I'll say it this way, the solution to pollution is dilution.
Wow,
Your
that's
body will help hold on to water when it feels you're in trouble and polluted. So we have to support her ability to detox and her hormones.
I like it. Solution to pollution.
Pollution is
Dilution.
dilution.
Like it. Interesting. Wow. That's that's very profound. And what an eye opener,
Yes.
especially when you're doing everything right and here's your sign.
Yeah.
So that's awesome to
Yeah. Oh
be.
my gosh, do we live in a time and an age where people are doing things right and not getting the bang for their buck? Is that not the truth, or what? I see it all the time. It's not
Yeah.
it, People are not getting away with what they used to get away with, and it's changed so much in the 30 years. I feel like we've just seen it just catapult for a lot of people. So,
That's awesome. That, oh, just to that revelation of what's
yeah.
going on.
Yes.
So, wow. Interesting stuff. I mean, because obviously it's not just one thing. There's so many things that are interconnected, obviously. Everything is. And
Yes.
I mean, so where would you have someone start? Because like I'm sitting here even for myself going, okay, so should I be drinking green tea? Should I be doing curcumin? Coffee I wouldn't mind, because
Yep.
I've been basically doing, according to my physician, Dr. Spurrill, I haven't been doing caffeine and I haven't been doing sugar. And so it's good to know that I can possibly be moving into eating more licorice and drinking caffeine.
Yeah, the place to start for most people is to get lab work done and start
Right.
work, and get the specifics. Some general rules of thumb to increase testosterone for guys. You can either detox estrogens, because again, a lot of men have excess estrogens from the environment, just like the women do, and they actually decrease a lot of the testosterone. So to increase testosterone, for guys, it's all about making sure you help manage any insulin resistance. And then flavonoids are huge. So grapeseed extract, red wine can be helpful, but not in excess, or at least getting the flavonoids in nutrient form from the red wine can really help increase the testosterone levels. White button mushrooms is a funny one. I like telling that to people who like mushrooms, but white button mushrooms were found to increase testosterone with a lot of guys as well.
That's good to know. Have
Yeah.
them on your steak.
Yes. Exactly. Well, exactly. It's a great testosterone builder.
Yeah. Because obviously, I think we could probably even do a talk, not just on the women's hormones that we've kind of talked about here, a little bit. Obviously, the estrogen, progesterone, and with the men with the testosterone, because that definitely is an issue in men
Hmm. Yeah.
because their hormones are obviously planting or just going down just as bad as the women's.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, God had a humor, that's for sure.
Yes. Yeah. And there is such a thing as menopause. I'm just going to say it that way.
That's true. It is. There is a menopause with the menopause with the women. So it's like you get to sing Kumbaya together.
Yes. I want to highlight one other one because fenugreek is so good at converting so DHEA goes into androstenedione, and then that gets converted into the estrogens and testosterone. So fenugreek can be good for men and for women, especially it's used mostly with women, but it can really help make a lot of the byproducts turn the DHEA that you do have into the hormones you need, and it tends to be part of different products that also balance your insulin level. So I'm a huge fan of fenugreek these days.
And isn't that in a lot of Greek food?
No, it's an herbal. So let me,
Huh.
give me 1 second and see what it is actually
Yeah. Because
is
I've
in.
seen that um somewhere and I don't remember where or how, but I'm sure it's obviously
It's a plant, so it's cultivated worldwide. Its leaves and seeds are common ingredients in dishes from Indian subcontinent. So it's mostly from the Indian continent, and it can be used more as a spice.
right.
And Mediterranean, so Mediterranean
Yeah,
region, Southern
yeah.
Europe, Western Asia, and India.
Yeah, that's why when I was thinking, like grape seed leaves, and
Yeah,
they have that rice inside and they use, I think they
yeah,
have that the fenugreek in it. So,
yeah.
um, those are great.
Yes, I like the flavor of it. It's a clover-like herb.
Yeah,
And yeah, it's so good, but it's really good for you.
nice. Awesome. So a lot of this, obviously, we can at least enhance, maybe not cure, but enhance by just picking the right spices, the right foods, and in engaging some of these things that can help the hormones.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you get the actual lab testing done. One of my favorite
Yeah.
ones is the Dutch test, because it also tells you about if you're detoxifying properly. And the Dutch test, especially if you are premenopause, is super helpful. Postmenopause, if everything's just in the tank, then that's good too to help us where to get it. But postmenopause, we like to get the blood work as well. So it is good to get the actual blood work done, and then kind of course correct from there as far as where you're at with the hormones. Hormones are a full new language in your body for communication, different than the nerves. Your nervous system communicates, but so do your hormones. It's a completely different communication system.
Right. And I mean, I did my lab work this week for everybody to know, and there was only 8 tubes. So I'm sure we got A to Z covered, because
Yes.
the one gal looked at me, she goes, I said, so how many tubes are you going to take? And she says 8. And I went, 8? I was like, am I going to have any blood left? And that's obvious an exaggeration. You have tons of blood, but obviously
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah,
8.
they're not all like that. We are known though for that here locally. Our labs here all know us because we will order all kinds of unique labs too, and
Yeah,
tubes, and so um
no,
we
it's
got
good.
yeah, no, it's good.
Really good,
We're
because then you can get to the, you can get to the baseline of what's going on, and they all interconnect. So I mean, one can set off the others, right?
Yes, one of the labs here actually referred a patient to us who was in and was not having success with their doctors, I guess, and the lab says, well, I can't give you his name, but we call him Sherlock Holmes. And it was our doctor Josh here, who's my main researcher doc, because he does research and then he gets these really unique lab orders put together. So they know him at the lab as Sherlock Holmes.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Well, good. Well, I'm glad I'm a part of Sherlock Holmes location
Yes, right.
in Minnesota here.
Yeah.
'Cause God knows, it's been a journey, and it's been a great journey of discovery, and to obviously be feeling better. And I can tell you, I'm so grateful that the biggest thing is my sleep has totally changed in this process, which is such a blessing, because
Yeah,
man,
it's
if
big.
you're not sleeping, it
Yep.
affects everything. And there's
Yes.
those nights, where you've got, A to Z going through your head, but it's very rare now. I can go to bed and sleep and not,
Yep.
some nights not even wake up until the alarm goes off. So it's been a huge blessing and experience to be even having just that as we go through and find out the next chapter in my life with hormones, obviously.
Yes.
It'll be interesting, because hopefully they said that it's like 2 to 5 days or 2 to 7 days before you get the labs or something like that.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, it's taking them a little longer these days, but yeah.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
there's next week. Hopefully we'll have
Yes.
some new evidence of what to do and how to handle
Exactly.
all this, which is exciting. So, well, is there anything else you want to wrap on this wonderful bow of food that we can enhance? And obviously hormones are critical to our well-being
Yep.
from mind, body, and spirit, that's for sure.
Yeah, so the big three to help get your foundational stuff set is getting sleep, reducing sugar and inflammation, and then managing stress. Those three things set you up to then take the stuff that you need to take to balance the hormones. And like you said, there's a chicken and an egg scenario. So once it's started, you have
Yeah,
to do a little pattern interrupt. But you're primed right now. A lot of people, but you put the work into it. When it comes to diet, sleep,
yeah.
exercise, those type of things, stress reduction. And then you're really ready. So getting the foundational lifestyle stuff set, then your body and mind are ready and equipped to handle the hormone stuff. And then people just take off. And I love it.
Yes, and amen. I can't wait to get to the other side. I'm already halfway there, so it's been good. The mold thing, though, is definitely something that we have to do, and we've got the discs. I
Yep.
don't know why it's taking us so long to place them somewhere. I think my husband's wanting to put them in a specific place because of
Yep.
this remodel that we're
Yep.
going through. So, but we'll get there. All right. Well, this has been absolutely amazing, very enlightening and exciting for hopefully everyone that's listening to this. And that's where you're going to want to go, is to Rumble and YouTube and Apple and Spotify and Instagram and X. We're everywhere. We want you to get this information because we want you to be healthy and whole and feel good about where you're at in your journey and where you're at in your age. So Dr. Spurrill and Synapse, again, go to officialsnaps.com, click on that discovery call, and make sure you follow us, as I said, on all those platforms. And of course, go to katy-huff.com/events. That again is katy-huff.com/events to find out what's going on in Katie Huff's ministry and setting yourself free. So thank you, Dr. Spurrill. God bless you. It's always a blessing and such an education to just learn and be and become all that God has created us to be. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. God bless.
God bless you. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Katie Huff with Katie Huff Ministries, and this is Bella Jean, and we're coming to you today to talk to you about setting yourself free by having first a great night's sleep. How's that going to happen? By using MyPillow. MyPillow has incredible products. Bella Jean even has her own dog bed and loves it. She sleeps well at night, so do we. Because we also have the topper, we have the pillows, we've used the sheets, we have the towels, and we even have the slippers. So we are a family that loves MyPillow as much as my Bella Jean, and I'm hoping that your dog will love it as much as ours, and that you'll go to mypillow.com/unmasked. Again, that's mypillow.com/unmasked. And you'll get incredible discounts for your family to be setting themselves free to having a great night's sleep and having an amazing holiday season with MyPillow products. Thank you. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Katie Huff with Katie Huff Ministries, and I'm coming to talk to you today about setting yourself free. And what that means is it begins with taking control of your finances. So I was unfortunately introduced to a number of different financial planners that really didn't put me before their profit. And I'm glad to say that Kirk Elliott, PhD, their philosophy is people over profits. They don't rush you. They have a holistic approach. They took my SEP, they invested it into gold and silver, which obviously is diversifying. It may be for you, it may not, but I will tell you this, KirkElliottPhD.com/unmasked, they will go beyond making you comfortable and knowing where your money's going. And so I would just say, take control of your finances. Go to KirkElliottPhD/unmasked for a discount and great advice and peace of mind that you'll have.